This is the Barry Richards Show. WBSM On Demand.
Without further ado,
WBSM presents The Barry Richards Show. Streaming live on WBSM.com and the WBSM app. Call 508-996-0500. Text us using App Chat on the WBSM app. Now, The Barry Richards Show.
it's getting to the point where I'm no fun anymore. I am sorry. Sometimes it hurts so badly I must cry out loud. I am lonely.
All right, welcome back. 107 on a now partly sunny afternoon here out on the neck in Fairhaven. You know, yesterday it was such a dark and gloomy and cold day out here, and I got to get out of work, and I looked to the north, and I looked to the west, and I said, oh, my goodness, it's sunny over there. And it didn't take me long to run into the sunshine once I got off the neck. So I don't know what's going on to the north and to the west of me, but here, at least on the neck, it is mostly cloudy, but a little bit of sun as well on this Friday afternoon. All right, welcome back to the program, and having an interesting conversation before the break about homelessness in Massachusetts. Of course, we are all familiar now with the 1980s law, right to shelter law, which many feel has been taken out of context and is being abused to help Maura Healey in her refugee or illegal immigrant resheltering program or resettling program. Just a tiny bit of background and why we're even talking about this. There was a story, Newsweek magazine had a story about what's going on here in Massachusetts. And the story is titled, Massachusetts Kills Plan to Prioritize Homeless Veterans Over Migrants. And the story actually talks about the piece of legislation that Governor Healey just signed into law this week, which sets a 9-month cap for folks in the emergency shelter system in Massachusetts, but provides for at least 2 9-month extensions for a whole litany of reasons why you might qualify for an extension. And it also allows the governor to take some $400 million, almost $500 million from what they're calling a savings account, you know, kind of like Nana's old Christmas Club account, right, I guess, and then take more money from other sources to help pay for all of this for the short term through the end of June anyway. And then there'll be more money needed for the next fiscal year, about another $1 billion to do this. They're calling this the family homeless shelter thing or whatever. We all know what it really is. This is the illegal immigrant resettlement program. And 2 different amendments came up during the discussion on this. And this is why the headlines appearing in the in Newsweek, Massachusetts Kills Plan to Prioritize Homeless Veterans Over Migrants. There were 2 amendments offered up by the Republicans. One would have given priority to longtime Massachusetts families over illegal immigrants. And one Republican argued that it's ridiculous to offer shelter space to somebody who's been here an hour as opposed to somebody who's been here longer than that. And another amendment that was defeated by 27 to, I think it was about, about 130. The vote was like 27 to 130 something, maybe 137 if I remember correctly. And this would have given priority to homeless veterans above everybody else. That was defeated. And Democrat State Representative Gerald Cassidy, according to Newsweek, who's co-chair of the Joint Committee on Veterans and Federal Affairs, reportedly says that a veterans-related bill is being prepared for May and will address programs and benefits extensions for veterans. This is not a veterans bill, Cassidy said. According to the State House News Service, this is basically a political ploy to bring the veterans in. This bill will be coming out. It is more in tune with what we're doing, reports Newsweek, attributing that to Cassidy. Now, every member of the local House delegation, Tony Cabral, Chris Markey, Chris Hendricks, Bill Strauss, Paul Schmidt, Alan Sylvia, Carol Fiola, Pat Haddad all voted against giving preference to Massachusetts families first over illegal immigrants, and all voted against giving preference to homeless veterans over illegal immigrants. Okay, so that's the way it went down. And joining me live to talk about this now on the line, my good friend Brian Thomas. Brian's beat every Saturday morning, 7 to 9 a.m., right here on WBSM. And Brian, this is, first of all, welcome. Thanks for joining me. But this is getting national attention now, this whole homeless, illegal immigrant thing here that we got going on in Massachusetts, shelter crisis. And, so, I mean, people around the country now are taking notice what's going on here. And imagine our local delegation voting to give preference to illegal immigrants over homeless veterans and homeless families.
What am I supposed to imagine?
I mean, imagine, right? I mean, who'd have thought?
Are you surprised?
No, to be honest with you.
Tell me something that's going to surprise me. You were gone on Monday. McCarthy actually brought it up, and I was listening as I was driving in. And for the first 45 minutes and then the pretty much the last 40 minutes or so of filling in for you on Monday, this is what we talked about.
Okay.
I did not know about the local delegation, how they voted, but I just kind of figured looking at the numbers. But no, this doesn't surprise me. The one thing about the veterans, and I did mention this, people are going to agree or disagree, but that should be a federal government issue. Anything that happens to veterans dealing with homelessness and whatnot, that shouldn't be a state issue. That stated, since the feds aren't doing anything about it, what the hell's the matter with the Bacon Hill lawmakers?
Yeah.
Really, what the hell is the matter with them?
No, you're right. And, New Bedford guy did some follow-up on the story, and they're talking about back in 2013, Jeff Deal, who was a member of the legislature at the time, a Republican member of the legislature, first introduced the amendment giving preference, and this is before all of the current situation that we're dealing with, for any shelter. An amendment would have given preference to homeless veterans, and it was denied then. And every member, according to New Bedford Guide, every member of our delegation then and since then has voted against that amendment every year going forward up until
What year was that?
2013.
2013, so that's over close to a dozen years.
About 11 years. 11 years consecutively, apparently this amendment has come up in one shape, form, or another, and our delegation has voted against it.
Well,
now, Alan Sylvia is a Marine. Paul Schmidt is a Marine. Shame on them.
I don't know what to tell you any more than I'm not surprised. I'm not numb to what's going on, but the great and general court at its worst.
Well, let me add this to it, because I had breakfast this morning. I had coffee this morning with Michael Sylvia, who obviously runs New Bedford Guide and writes for New Bedford Guide, and he wrote the story for New Bedford Guide on this. And he was telling me that he's had conversations with Alan Sylvia over the last few years about this. And Sylvia keeps telling him, he said every year when they vote against this, Sylvia tells him, well, we got a better bill coming up next year that's going to deal with veterans. And next year never seems to come. And here we are again just last week. Sylvia and the others vote against the veterans. And when the hell are veterans going to wake up and get smart? The unfortunate part is Sylvia.
Okay, but seriously, what are veterans supposed to do?
Well, again, all of these people that I just mentioned are running unopposed, with the exception of Pat Haddad. None of them have an opponent, and Paul Schmidt's not seeking re-election, nor is Bill Strauss.
Mm-hmm.
So, what can you really do to hold these people accountable?
Thank you. That is the problem right there. They know that they can run with impunity, and they're going to keep on doing exactly what they want to do because the voter doesn't come out and look. It's not just the voter. We need to have people that want to run, that won't get smeared when they're out there, or won't fear being smeared as they run a campaign. And therein is, it's one of the things that I talk to libertarians about. You know, folks gotta really feel the gusto to want to do it. Oh, I'll try, and then next thing you know, you don't hear from them anymore. And that's just my party. Republicans, they're doing a little bit better. They're not going to fare all that well, but they'll pick up some seats, and rightfully so. But it's still not going to be enough. You're pretty close with the vote. I think it was 27 to 124. They didn't have everybody in the legislature that day.
Yeah, there were a number of different votes on the different amendments, but you know, and here we go again. And this is a frustrating thing that you and I have been talking about since I've known you for about 8 years now. The fact that we don't have anybody out there that is actively recruiting candidates either. I had Amy Carnevale on the program a couple of weeks ago, and to my memory, it was the first, maybe the second time that anybody from the Rhode Island, from the Republican State Committee has ever contacted me. Can I come on the air? Can I come on the air? And I asked her then, you know, about we've got 3 seats that are up for grabs here. In this district, you got Strauss's seat, you've got Schmidt's seat, you've got Senator Pacheco up in Taunton. We've got 3 seats, and they have been unable to recruit a Republican candidate for Schmidt's seat. And I said, don't.
What about Pacheco's?
Well, Pacheco, they've got a couple of Republicans running for Pacheco's seat. Including Kelly Dooner, the city councilor in Taunton, who's pretty sharp. She's an ally of Shauna O'Connell. But, I mean, nothing going on there. And again, I said, look, I told her what I just told you. My job is not to run around and chase you people down and come on the radio. Your job is to call me and say, hey, can we respond to what the governor just said? Or can we bring in some candidates? Can we do this? And, yep. Look on. I haven't heard a word from her. Nothing.
Right. Well, I get the same thing from the Libertarians. I ended up getting drafted onto the state committee because I was trying to get people onto the air. And we need somebody on the state committee. And okay, well, now that I'm on the committee, what? I still don't see any change. What am I going to do? Come on and interview myself?
Yeah, and I mean, you know, unless the Republican committee in Massachusetts wants to put me on the payroll, my job is not to go out and track them down and get them on. It's their job to contact me. That's what they're getting paid for. But they're doing, as usual, a miserable job. And we'll see this area remain Democrat. You know, speaking about Libertarian Party, I had a story here that I was holding on to the other day that I wanted to hold on to talk to you about. Apparently, the Libertarian Party has revealed that former President Trump was going to be speaking at the national conference at the end of May. Have you heard about that?
Yes, I have. At the national convention, yeah.
Yeah. So what do you think about that?
So the inner workings of the Libertarian Party have been split from the national level down, and the faction that I'm with that actually is the party of the state has separated from the national. One of the reasons folks split away is because they figured that a lot of Trump supporters had infiltrated the party to actually set up the whole breakup. So I'm not surprised by it, but the reason Trump is coming in this particular case is because he's feeling the heat of RFK Jr., and so he's trying to ward off some of what Kennedy seems to be picking up off the Republicans at this particular time.
Yeah, well, Trump is going to go speak anywhere, right? I mean, if he's invited, he's a candidate for president. He's going to go speak anywhere as long as he's invited to speak there.
He didn't come 4 years ago.
Was he invited?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I know he wasn't there.
Yeah. Well, apparently he was invited this time, and certainly he needs to, try to get some votes if he's going to be there, and he's going to speak on May 25th. I've always been in favor of letting everybody speak and at least listen to what they have to say. So, I mean, is it a bad thing, really, that Trump...
It's our convention, and that convention, I say ours, again, our state isn't a part of the national convention anymore. But it is the party's convention. It's where we choose who is going to be the presidential candidate and vice presidential candidate. So probably not the best place for the presidential candidate to come out and speak. But, again, that's up to the powers that be. And I'm not sure who is going to end up getting that particular nod. So why not let Trump come and speak?
Yeah. You mentioned RFK, and he apparently, I was sitting here the other day, and it's flashing all over TV, and it's all over, what the hell is it, USA Today's website. They're flashing, breaking news. RFK Jr.'s got a major announcement coming up at 1 o'clock. All of a sudden, Fox just kind of like faded away from it. I never heard another word on Fox again from it. And I had to actually go online and dig it out an hour later to find out what the hell was going on. And the announcement apparently was he's offering a deal to Joe Biden that if by October whatever, whichever candidate is losing the worse to Trump, the other one, or that candidate will drop out and endorse the one that's doing better against Trump. I haven't heard the Biden people accept that offer yet. Do you think they will?
I haven't heard this, so am I to understand if between RFK and Biden, whichever one is doing worse,
drops out and endorses the other.
Actively support the other. I think it's hilarious. Why would
I do too?
why would Joe Biden do it, and RFK? Why would he do it?
Well, I think RFK, obviously thinks that, he's reading the tea leaves and probably thinking that if Biden is still in there by October, given the current polling, that Biden will be deep underwater, and it might give him a better chance to beat Trump if Biden was to disappear. But I don't see how this benefits Biden. So apparently nobody took him seriously once they found out what he was offering up because, again, the news people that were promoting this kind of walked away from it. I don't know whether they thought RFK was going to drop out or what was going to happen, and that's why they were promoting this as a major announcement. But I just kind of chuckled when I read it. And to me, it was more insulting to Biden than anything else. But, to think that he would even consider such a thing.
Well, can he consider it? But no pun intended. But a lot of pun intended with that. I look, if RFK Jr. believes that something like that will work, all the power to him. I don't see it.
Yeah,
I don't see it at all.
Yesterday,
so I got to ask you.
What?
Have you talked anything about the Anti-Semitism Awareness Act?
Yeah, just a tiny bit. I kind of get the sense that even though I think it was approved, right? I think everybody fell all over it, but even Matt Gaetz said it was unconstitutional, and Auchincloss here in Massachusetts said it's unconstitutional. It's silly. It's one of those things that politicians like to wrap themselves up in at a time like this, and it's unconstitutional, and it's it's totally crazy to read it over, but. How do you vote against it, right?
Easily.
I would vote against it.
As Ron Paul would say, if it's unconstitutional, don't vote for it.
Don't vote for it. Yeah, I wouldn't vote for it. You wouldn't vote for it. But, these politicians are more concerned about getting elected than they are common sense. So
I think they're more concerned. There's $100 million going to various congressional and presidential candidates as far as Israel money coming. This is what that's about.
I haven't heard anybody really. It came up and it got a little bit of media coverage, not a lot. And I don't know of anybody who's really taking it seriously. Again, I think it was a feel-good kind of gesture on the part of some politicians who want to be able to stand up and say they've done something.
Some?
Yeah.
This was an overwhelming, when you talk about 27 no votes, that's huge.
Yeah.
And I'm curious, Auchincloss, I'm going to take it for granted that he was one that voted against. I wonder how many other. What do you think Bill Keating did?
I'm sure Bill Keating probably voted for it.
Yeah.
But I don't know that to be a fact. But I know Auchincloss.
No, I don't either. I was looking to see what Presley and some of the others. Now it goes on to the Senate. What do you think Elizabeth Warren's going to do, and Markey?
Well, it's going to be interesting to see.
I think this is going to pass.
Well, it
might need to be struck down in the courts, but I think it's going to pass, and I think Joe Biden's going to sign it.
I'm not sure what's going to happen with it because this is kind of walking the, I'm sure most of the politicians would like to see it go away because it's really walking a fine line out there. And, a lot of folks are angry, and you don't want to piss off the demonstrators, but yet you don't want to piss off the Jewish vote either. And so you're just kind of doing a delicate dance. And I think that's why you haven't heard much from. I was going to ask you, yesterday, Joe Biden, for the first time in 9 days, actually came out and issued a prepared statement, something that was written for him about all of this. Didn't take any questions, just delivered a statement and then walked away. And I can't think of so he says, look, we got the First Amendment. You're allowed to go out there and protest. In fact, they're supposed to go out and protest, but you can't be anti-Semitic and you can't be Islamophobic and you can't damage bills. Well, everybody knows all that stuff, but he didn't say anything more than that. And it was just an obligatory thing because he was getting pounded in the press. 9 days without saying something. Don't you think Biden should have come out, regardless of what your position is on all of this? Don't you think Biden should have said something about it sooner?
About?
Just about the situation in general, the fact that this is going on in the college campuses and that there, have been there's been police action. I guess over 2,000 people have been arrested in the course of the last week. And don't you think that's worthy of the president's attention? Should not the president have said something? And again, irregardless of what your position is on the issue, shouldn't the president have been out in front of this?
I hear what you're saying, Barry. I would like to believe that we don't need to go up to the level of the feds for something like this. I'm probably wrong. But I would, I guess my heart of hearts, my libertarian and constitutional feelings say this isn't a federal government issue. It might be a state, and it's certainly the community type issue. I don't know that it's a federal, but if the president is going to come out and speak, he needs to be fair and balanced when he does speak about something like this. And considering he came out, as you said yesterday, his speaking was more directed toward Columbia as opposed to...
Well, this happened a few hours after UCLA.
Over at UCLA.
Yeah, it was probably about 3 or 4 hours after the UCLA thing went down. Yeah. Well, look, here's my thought on it, and you can tell me if you agree or disagree. We've got a situation going on in college campuses all around the country, campuses that receive federal funding, okay? And in some cases, we have videotapes. And I'm not saying this is the case on every campus or with every protester. As a matter of fact, we've seen some fairly reasonable demands at some of these schools. Not every one of these is you have to, you have to hate Israel and side with Palestine. There's some things about security on campus. There's some other issues that some of these students have. So let's set that aside. But we have seen and we have heard from students who claim they were assaulted because they had a Star of David on. They were threatened. We do know that because we've seen it on videotape, there have been students who were denied access to the campus because of their religion. And these are campuses that they pay tuition to go through. Now, if this was happening to LGBTQ, or if this was happening to Black Americans, or if this was happening to anybody else, the federal government would be involved because that is a hate crime based on somebody's skin color or somebody's sexuality. In this case, it happens to be on somebody's religion. So I think the president, in my view, the president should have come out yesterday and said, what he said, I thought was good. I thought it was right on. First Amendment, you can protest. You got to be respectful. You got to be sympathetic to both sides. You can't take over college campuses. None of that's acceptable. But I think he should have taken it one step further and said, because there are allegations that people were assaulted because of their religious beliefs, or were somehow or another detained or refused access to the school, I'm asking the Federal Bureau of Investigation to look into any violations, and if there are any, we will pursue federal charges against the people responsible for that. Now, shouldn't that have been what the president said yesterday?
I don't know, but I think if what you're saying is true, not arguing whether it is or isn't, I think that is where the police departments would come in and make their charges, file them in the police reports, and then the federal government, the FBI or whatever proper jurisdiction, can take over and say, oops, this is what we have here, which is what usually happens. It doesn't come from the top man.
But what happened and what we saw happen this week and last week with Columbia University, the police go in and they round people up and they arrest them and they bring them in. And then they went before Alvin Bragg's office, the DA in New York. And Alvin Bragg says, you know what, we're going to expunge all of the charges against these people. So they go back out and they start all over again. And they build another encampment.
So you know what that's kind of telling me? That whatever happened wasn't that serious, that he thought that some type of civil rights violation had taken place.
Well, I find it kind of serious if somebody is being threatened based on their religious beliefs.
Well, I think that is what we're hearing. I don't know how deep it goes, because if that person had really thought that, they would have reported it. The police would have reported it. Something along those lines would have happened.
But you don't think that
I'm not trying to pick a side here, but
well, I'm trying to walk a careful line too, because I know your feelings on this, and we disagree on it. And I don't think it's really worth relitigating this whole debate over it. But I'm just wondering whether you think that the President of the United States, in his remarks yesterday, should have said, if there are, we need to investigate claims, because there have been widespread claims, and we need to investigate whether they are in fact true. And if they are true, and this is happening at schools that are receiving federal funding, then I think the FBI director needs to go in and just look and examine to see whether there's any wrongdoing. And if there is, prosecute. If not, then so be it.
Once again, I don't think that's the president's job. The president's job would have been to come out and say, we have heard these, and the Justice Department is investigating, as opposed to the way that you just wrote it up.
Well, but he didn't say that. That's my problem.
I know, but the way what I'm trying to say is, this is one of those things that comes from the bottom up, as opposed to him bringing it down.
Well, the FBI had no problem going into Virginia when parents were going to school committee meetings. Remember when they were going to school committee meetings and they were fighting against?
Did the president ask the FBI to do that?
I don't know whether the president did or not, but so far, Christopher Wray, who runs the FBI, has not launched any investigation at all into any of this, and that was just on television a few minutes ago, that the FBI is not investigating anything to do with this. And
I understand. I think what's happening here is there's been a lot of hey and ho-hoing out there, and there have been some punches thrown, and I think folks are just trying to let the steam come out of the boiler. I don't. That's what I'm getting at. I think if there's going to be something really serious, like what happened the other day, I don't know if it happened. I think it happened at Northeastern, where a guy yelled "Kill the Jews," and a whole bunch of people got arrested, and the person that yelled "Kill the Jews" didn't get arrested.
You know, the other thing that's been interesting is to find, it is particularly at Columbia University, just under half of the people that were arrested at Columbia the other day were not even students. And so we know that there's outside agitators that are there. And I mean, what are they there for? What is their purpose, and who's funding them?
I don't know. Didn't we talk about this last week? Don't we figure there's a lot of that going on?
Yeah, we assumed that they were, but that was confirmed this week after the Columbia raid on whatever night it was, a Tuesday night or Wednesday night. I remember I was trying to watch the damn Bruins game, and they kept interrupting. They weren't interrupting
the way
the game,
they
but
played.
yeah, and the big raid there that went down at Columbia and NYU. But about half of the people that were arrested there were not students. So, to what extent? I mean,
I'm not surprised. You know what? The Black Lives Matter thing that happened back in 2020. Most of the people that got arrested weren't affiliated with the Black Lives Matter people that were out peacefully protesting. You know, most of those people weren't the ones smashing the windows. It was the agitators. Unfortunately, you get the crap with the good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
This isn't going to change. Well, I'll tell you where it might change with this Anti-Semitism Awareness Act, and there was another law that kind of snuck into the House, basically looking at a lot of the stuff and taking funding away from students that get arrested for doing something on campus, dealing with protest. And I thought to myself, well, first of all, the federal government shouldn't be in the funding program in the first place.
Right.
But to set up monitors that are going to be in these campuses, that is asinine. If anything, we should have monitors from the federal government making sure that campuses are making sure that these schools adhere to the First Amendment.
Well, you see these schools too that have tens of millions of dollars in endowments and so on and so forth. Why are we spending taxpayer money on Harvard and on Columbia and all these other Ivy League schools? Why are we spending any taxpayer money there?
I don't know, but I know that a lot of folks that come from Brown and Harvard and the other Columbia, the other Ivy League schools, they end up getting nice jobs in Washington, D.C. You think one might have anything to do with the other? Think there might be a little pipeline going on?
Kind of sounds it. Brian Thomas, Brian's Beat, every Saturday, 7 to 9 a.m. What you got coming up tomorrow?
The anti-Semitism, and tomorrow is also the 54th anniversary of Four Dead in Ohio, Kent State.
Wow. I almost played that song when I opened the segment with Judy.
I'm doing it tomorrow.
Yeah, Sweet Judy Blue Eyes. I almost opened up. I didn't realize tomorrow's the 50th anniversary. But 54. You're old, huh?
Yeah. Think about it. You're right.
Yeah. Unbelievable. Thank you, Brian.
All right, man. Have a great one. Bye.
Appreciate it. 508-996-0500. Let me grab a break, and we're going to come back and take your calls after this right here on WBSM. Don't go anywhere.
If you're going to San Francisco, be sure to wear some flowers in your hair.
Welcome back, 142 on a Friday afternoon, 508-996-0500. And if you were one of those students who were arrested this week at Columbia or NYU or any other of the 43 locations where police went in and made arrests, George Washington University, any of these places, and you were afraid that you might not get a job now because you've been blacklisted, fear not, because the founder and CEO of telehealth and online pharmacy Hims took to social media yesterday to encourage anti-Israel protesters on college campuses to continue in those efforts because companies like his will be eager, quote unquote, to hire them. Andrew Dudum, who founded Hims in 2017. Hims is like a Viagra kind of drug. Said anti-Israel campus protesters are making a difference and drew a contrast to other executives who have said that the anti-Semitic demonstrations have made those involved in campus protests unemployable. Moral courage is greater than college degree, Dudum wrote on X. If you're currently protesting against the genocide of the Palestinian people and for your university's divestment from Israel, keep going. It's working. There are plenty of companies and CEOs eager to hire you, regardless of university discipline, he added, with a link to the Hims career page. So, there's that. Secretary of Education Miguel Cardona sent a letter to U.S. colleges and universities today saying that he's disturbed by the sharp rise in anti-Semitism targeting Jewish students on some college campuses. He cited reports from Jewish students that they have been physically assaulted or harassed while walking on campus simply for being Jewish, and that others have returned to their dorm rooms to find SWAT stickers on their doors. And these and other such incidents are abhorrent, period, Cardona said. No students should have to hide symbols of their faith or ancestry for fear of harassment or violence, he added. We take these reports very seriously, and we will investigate discrimination aggressively. And I find it funny how the media goes nuts. And we've seen it happen here locally. I can remember a couple of stories locally about SWAT stickers appearing on gravestones in cemeteries in the area or on buildings in the area, whatever, and the media goes all over it. Oh, the anti-Semitic white supremacists that are out there painting SWAT stickers. Isn't it funny how that kind of stuff makes so much news, or did, before we actually found out who the anti-Semites really are? Because we were always told, well, these anti-Semites, these are MAGA people. These are toothless goobers that support Donald Trump. They're ignorant. They scratch themselves in public. They smell. They have holes in their shirts. They're MAGA people. They're white supremacists. They're garbage, white trash. So when that was the narrative, yeah, the press was all over it. Press was all over this, the white supremacist groups. MAGA people. They must have Trump bumper stickers. MAGA hats. All that kind of stuff. They must own guns and Bibles, right? Yeah, and we've learned a lot since October 7th, haven't we? That the Trump supporters, you and me, we're not the anti-Semites. We never were. The anti-Semites, the one that are out there yelling, kill the Jews, and painting SWAT stickers on people's doors, or refusing them admission to a college campus, for example, based on their religion, or have physically assaulted or harassed people while they're walking on campus simply for being Jewish. In the words of the Education Secretary, Miguel Cardona, these are actually the people that voted for Joe Biden. The young people that we heard so much about over the course of the last 2 years. People they bragged about, the people they rolled out. The young people all jumped in. They're all voting for Biden. They're all, young people got Biden elected. Yeah, these are the same young people. Same young people, same teachers. They belong to the teachers' unions and tenured college professors that are out there doing all this crap. Yeah, these are the real anti-Semites. These are the real villains. They all voted for Biden. They're all Democrats. Shocking, isn't it? It's like the KKK. Yeah. Quick break. We'll come right back.
I could just sit around making music all day long. As long as I'm making my music, ain't gonna do nobody no
1:53 on a Friday afternoon. 508-996-0500 is our phone number. Back to your calls, and you're next in WBSM. Thanks for waiting.
Hey, Barry.
Hi.
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Oh, all right. Mayor Eric Adams had many press conferences and with the NYPD, especially the NYPD police commissioner and many others on their task force. And they know that this is external actors. It's outside agitators, professionally paid agitators who have come in. They've been arrested, and according to the NYPD and campus police, these are the same people that have been arrested and have a criminal record for agitating chaos, creating chaos and discord. And it's like Mayor Eric Adams said, we're not against freedom of speech or freedom to protest. That's in the Constitution. And he had an uncle who fought in World War II. This is anarchists who are trying to overthrow our government and our constitutional republic. And I
Isn't it funny how Eric Adams has emerged as a voice of reason and wisdom in the last couple of months between the immigrant crisis and now this?
Yeah, well, these are the same people Occupy Wall Street, Antifa, Black Lives Matter, the same type of people. They go in and they try to agitate and brainwash these kids into performing violent acts and destruction to property. But I noticed in UCLA and some of the school buildings, they had anarchist symbols, which is a circle with a large A in the middle of it, and a flag, a Palestinian flag with a closed fist, flying in the air while the police, California Highway Patrol and Campus PD were trying to escort these students, and some of them are actors, external actors off the campus. But this is a fascist movement to overthrow our republic and brainwash use our children to go out there and push their agenda. No different than what happened in Russia, where they polluted their minds and to get in the fascist regime, the Soviet Union, should I say, Stalin and the communists, the Bolsheviks. And then when they got into power, they sent all those young people to gulags, death camps, where they just died on just working all day long on food, dried bread, and water all day long. This is the same playbook, and they're trying to do the same thing to our young people.
So why does the federal government, again, they keep showing this on TV every time I look over, the Department of Justice has apparently not even begun any kind of investigation at all into this anti-Semitic behavior on the college campuses or in this country. Why not?
What does that tell you, Barry? If there's silence, that means they comply or they agree with what's happening.
Yeah.
Because if they spoke out, then they're on the side of the American people. But it seems to me that a lot of these those that we elect into office, and some of these bureaucrats, Joe Biden, we know he's in the back pocket of Xi and the Chinese government. But this seems like a calculated movement to overthrow our country, and the Democrats are using these radical leftist groups to try to do that. I think it was you that said one time you went on to Joe Biden's campaign site and he had BLM. Remember?
Yeah.
So it seems like they're in bed with each other. Antifa, BLM.
Well, the thing is that if you do not object and object quickly and object loudly, then there is reason to suspect that you are complicit with these people. And I'm beginning to think that that's the case. Thank you, my friend. I got to hold you right there. 508-996-0500. You're up next on WBSM. Good afternoon.
Hey, Barry. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Could our president do anything other than get out of bed without you criticizing him?
Can what?
Madam, what?
I didn't understand what you just said.
I said, is there anything other than getting out of bed that you find ways to criticize the president?
Oh, I don't even think the president should get out of bed. I'll criticize him for that. I think he should stay in bed.
I guess, on your talk shows, I always thought it was supposed to be like open forum for regardless if you're a Democrat or Republican. But
yeah, well, you're on the line, aren't you?
Yeah, but 98% of the time when I talk to you, I listen to all your callers, right? And a lot of them are the same ones every day, and they get freelance. You listen to them for 2, 3, 4 minutes sometimes, and then you make a comment.
Yeah, but see, you're not adding anything to the conversation. What you're doing is you're calling up and you're talking about other callers. Now, you made a statement that that I criticize everything the president does besides get out of bed. But you don't tell me what the president's done that's good or whatever. You just want to talk about what I said, and you want to talk about the other callers. So that's why you get the short shrift, and I got to move you on. That's not informing my listeners of anything.
That's not why I get the short stick. I get the short stick because if I don't say something that you agree with.
No, you know what? Because I don't want to debate with you like we're 3-year-olds sitting in the kitchen. If you call up and make a point, I'm going to tell you, well, gee, I agree with your point based on this, or I disagree with your point based on that, and we'll talk back and forth about the point. But you want to call up and immediately, is there anything that you can't say to time and all your callers? That's not an intelligent conversation. That doesn't add anything to the conversation. Call up and give me a point. Call up and say, well, Joe Biden did this or Joe Biden did that, and this is why Joe Biden yesterday didn't say more about a federal investigation into this. Other than that, if I want to hear third grade stuff, I'll go to the elementary school. I mean, that doesn't add anything to an intelligent conversation. It really doesn't. And I'm sorry if your feelings are hurt, but I mean that's just the way that it is. I have never refused a conversation with somebody who disagrees with me. If you want to call up and you want to be combative, or if you want to call up and add nonsense like that's not worth discussing. Nobody out there listening wants to hear somebody call. Well, your callers all say this and your callers all say that.